Okay, so now we're going to talk about owner financing, and there's different types of owner financing, and we're going to go over both of them and how they can work and how they can help you make a deal happen where there may not be a deal. So you can pay almost any price if the terms are favorable for you. So what I mean by that is, let's say this guy wants 1.1 million and it really isn't worth 1.1 million, but he'll loan you 100%, right? He'll loan you 1.1 million. You just step in and take payments. He'll do it at 1% interest, 2% interest, amortized over 50 years. You may say, well, nobody would do that. Well, maybe not. But the point is that would make this deal make sense because now it cash flows. Now you have a great loan on it. You can raise the value and you can pay it off on his timeline, right? Or on a long timeline. So if you've got owner financing that is in senior position, so this would be the seller says, I'll do the loan, then you're going to put it in the senior loan metrics. So if he says, I want 5% down or 10% down or 20% down, whatever, this is where you do this. Now, if a seller is not willing to go above 80% leverage on the seller financing or do a crazy low interest rate or a long term, most of the time it doesn't really help you. Like if the seller is going to give you 50% leverage or 60% leverage at 7% interest for 5 years, it's really not that attractive for you. You may think, oh, well, cool. Now I don't have to qualify with a bank. And that is a valid point, but it's really not going to make your numbers look better. But the point is if they're going to do seller financing, you can put that in here, right? If they're going to do a seller carryback, essentially seller financing, not as the primary loan. So this could be almost like they're an investor in your deal, or they're doing a promissory note to you post-closing that has nothing to do with the property. This is where you put this in. So this is where it gets powerful, because if we go to the executive summary, we know that we need to raise $325,000 to close this deal. So if we go back to our inputs and we say on the owner financing, okay, the seller is going to loan us $325,000 at closing. So he's going to give us 30%, right? And he's going to do it interest only for 5 years, 60 months at 5% interest. And the term is 5 years. Amortization doesn't matter because we're doing 60 months of IO. So for $1,354 a month, he's going to bring our whole down payment to the deal. And now when we look back to our executive summary, right? So we are only having to bring $2,200 to closing, and we have $112K in the bank at closing for renovations and closing costs and stuff like that. So it is a powerful strategy. Now, does that mean automatically that the deal works at 1.1 million? Well, no, maybe not. And that's where you have to be careful, because if I'm looking at this, I'm still all in for 90%. So maybe it's worth it to me to take the risk and do the deal if the seller will finance me the entire down payment, right? That way I can walk into the deal with no money down. I can make a little acquisition fee. I can amortize debt, right? Because I'm paying debt down. But if I go to month 1 through 24, let's see. I've got my principal and interest. This is my senior debt service. And then I've got my owner financing debt is there. So month 1, I'm losing $4,000. Now we've accounted for some carrying costs, but let's see how it goes, right? And we're looking at this, I mean, even at stabilization 2 years in, we're still losing $900 a month. So do I want to buy a deal where I can lose $900 a month? I'm not loving that. And if I sell it, right, I can make I can make some money, right? Net profits proceeds from the sale is $111,000, right? I'm selling it. I'm paying off my loan. I'm paying off the seller, and let's say disposition end of year 3, and I'm making a little bit of money, 111 grand. So maybe I would do that, right? The cash on cash return IRR is crazy because we didn't bring any money to the deal. And so do you want to lose $1,000 a month for 60 months and at the end of the day get the 111 grand? I don't know, probably not, because now you're really only making 40 grand. So I still think that this price is too high, even with a seller doing a full carryback. But on some deals where the deal makes better sense and the seller, even if they'll only carry, let's say he says, well, I'm not going to loan you 100 or 325 grand, but I'll loan you $100,000 at 5% for 5 years. Well, now if you go to your executive summary, see your raise has dropped down by 100 grand. So now you need one less investor, right? And that's one less person that you've got to split the deal with. That's 100 grand less that you got to raise. And so it can make the IRR on the deal make better sense if it's tight. But owner financing is not some magic bullet that's going to overcome all obstacles, right? So this way we are ending up cash flowing. Let's look at our stabilized P&L. We're still, the DSCR is low. The price is just still too high, even with using creative financing. So this is how you work it. This works really well on deals where there's a large value add, where you can fill up the property. Maybe it's under rents by a couple $100, and you're able to refinance the seller out within a couple of years and own the deal 100%. So Yaden and I have bought, I think, at least 4 or 5 deals that way. And it's an effective strategy. And there's definitely some legal ramifications on how you do it. Banks sometimes are not okay with it, or they don't want the seller to be in second position. Sometimes they are okay with it as long as it's just a promissory note. But honesty is the best policy with that. And you got to find a bank that's willing to do something like this. Okay, so that's how the owner financing period. So if it's just straight up owner financing, right? The seller's loaning you 75%, 80%, whatever, then put that in the senior loan metrics. If it's a second position, a seller carryback, where they're loaning you part or all of the down payment, this is where it goes in this owner financing box.